Limits of the Flesh, Chapter 30, Fantasy Fiction by Azazyel. I was awoken in the middle of the night by Rias's sleeping dress-clad form rolling to her side and pressing her elbow in the movement off my chest, and for a moment I stared at the dimly lit mega screen that was playing like the fourth or fifth movie in the comedy series, and I just shut my eyes and tried to get back to sleep. But it turns out that Rias's rather abrupt movement away from me in her sleep wasn't merely just herself shifting around as I sent the thick blanket and Rias was sharing shift as a very obvious shape crawled up through the blanket where Rias once was laying. For a moment I wondered who was crawling up through the blanket, so once the head of dark hair broke through the blanket and lay beside me, I recognized Aquino even with how dark the room was. Hee, isn't this exciting? Aquino whispered as she laid her head on the arm that Rias had previously, and I felt her all but mold her body against mine as she sought my body warmth as the theater was rather cold. I suppose. But Rias is going to wake up in a bit and seeing you here is going to make her very excited, Aquino. I said dryly, and Aquino giggled and bit her lip in response as she leaned forward. Aquino's very voluptuous frame was almost atop me as she whispered directly into my ear, and she wrapped her arms around me fully. I have a bit of sleepwalking issues. I used to commonly sleepwalk into Rias's room to cuddle with her when we were younger. So, let's keep this our little secret, hee. She giggled before pushing her nose into my neck to take in my not-so-natural smell of vanilla and sandalwood hormones that my body naturally put out. For a moment I considered doing, well, something, but then my sleepy mind remembered that this was a harem anime world, so I just wrapped my arms around Aquino and took a breast into one of my hands, making her sharply inhale as I just relaxed. Even as Aquino twitched at the firm hold, I held her in. I just kept my eyes closed and enjoyed the feeling of her soft body against mine, and soon enough, with it being like 4 a.m., I fell back asleep as we had no school or anything. How? Am I not surprised? I heard Rias speaking loudly and waking me up, and as I went to wipe my eyes, I felt my entire damned body being weighed down, and my first thought was somehow the Jake who transmigrated me here sent me my favorite weighted heated blanket or something. But as I opened my blurry eyes, I saw the weight upon me was all natural. I apparently became the damned puppy pile center as Kaneko, and my creations all decided to snuggle up to me, and somehow Kaneko decided that wrapping her top torso and arms around my head as she lay next to the bed's headboard was just a wonderful idea. But she really showed off her cat-like nature as she literally hissed at Ria when she attempted to remove the cat girl's arms that were wrapped around my head. Kaneko, I can't even get mad at Jake, with how you guys obviously dog-piled him after putting a damned pillow between me and him. Rias complained, seemingly fighting back a smile, although she wasn't all too enthused at her man having a harem, but even she couldn't help but giggle at the sight of Kaneko being territorial. No, Rias, he smells good, Kaneko grumbled, pushing her nose into my hair, and my face twitched as Rias's shoulders shook with repressed giggles. Oh yes, I know, that's why I enjoy his hugs as well, but Aquino and EI are making breakfast, so you girls need to get up. As though answering Rias's words, I heard a small explosion or something ring out through the theater in the direction of the room's exit, and Rias's face twitched. Then she loudly coughed, making Monet, and Klee got off me groggily, but Kaneko still clung to me. All right, Kaneko, I will just carry you, I grunted as I moved Kaneko into my lap as I finally was able to sit up, and as I got my feet beneath me on the side of the bed, I felt Kaneko wrap her arms and legs around my chest as her chin dug into my shoulder for a moment as she found a comfortable position to go back into a stupor. You spoil her too much, Jake. Rias lightly scolded me, but I could tell with the way her eyes took in the way I was carrying Kaneko that she was imagining me in a more paternal setting and carrying a kid or something. Come on, Rias, let's get some food before EI burns down the building, I said, taking Rias's arm in my own before going back to supporting Kaneko, and I could feel Rias's happiness at me taking her arm by the upsurge in hormones in her body as we made skin contact. In a few minutes, we arrived in the dining room, and although Aquino was throwing the sheepish-looking EI dirty looks for igniting the miso soup on fire after adding sake to it when Aquino looked away and left stirring the pot to EI, we all enjoyed Aquino's well-made breakfast. When is Jake's new toys arriving again, Rias? Aquino asked, and I was reminded how Uabella and the cat-girl duo of Ni and Lee were supposed to arrive today. I also was wondering how Riser was responding to her all-new body. Rias looked to the clock over to the side of the dining room, and I did the same and saw it was close to 9 a.m. Our big sister Graphia texted that she would be bringing them over from now in like half an hour or something, so let's get this breakfast over with and ourselves cleaned before we meet her, as Riser's mother is almost certainly going to follow alongside my sister-in-law so she can further discuss Jake turning Riser back into a man. Rias said, shrugging. Everyone gave an affirmative to the king's orders to hurry up with the food and to go get ready, but I had a nagging thought come to me. So, Rias, should I stick with my demands for Riser to get pregnant and whatnot, or should I make up some stipulation or demands for the Phoenix family to trade to me in return for Riser to be turned back to normal? I asked, and Rias just shrugged as she began vengefully chewing her sausage links. Nope. Personally, I don't like Riser. I have had a simmering hate for him for literally years. So, this punishment that he bragged about forcing upon me is perfect. But I understand that angering the Phoenix clan will only bring you problems, so getting magical resources for your flesh crafting in return for fixing Riser and easing any ill will the Phoenix clan could harbor for you would actually be the smarter play. Rias mused before falling silent and going back to finishing her food as she left me to my thoughts. Soon enough though I finished my food, and after giving Rias a quick hug from behind her chair that made the young woman giggle happily, I went to take an ultra-quick at least shower, so I didn't end up late to acquiring my new servants that I was going to be tuning up.